Welcome everyone to Puppet Time Online. I'm Eric Wright. I'm your host. This is brought to you by the Puppet Kitchen, which is your home for professional puppetry. We design, build, perform, teach, coach, and direct puppets and puppetry all over the world. Puppet Time Online is your opportunity to sit down with some of puppetry's finest and me and learn about what they know about. And as usual, I've got Katie over here producing the show. She's running all the switches and dials and things. And she's also watching the comment section, which is now like over here, I think, on YouTube, because we're on YouTube Live. And I don't know where the comments are on Facebook Live, but we're on Facebook Live too. If you are a viewer from Instagram Live, thank you for coming over to join us. I'm really excited to be on this new platform using StreamYard to send our show to a wider audience. Puppet Time Online's every Wednesday at 2 p.m. So right in Eastern time. Good to know. Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
Yes, Katie keeps me on track. She watches the comment section. If you have questions for me or for our guests, be sure to type them in and we can, Katie will make sure that we catch them and answer them. Today, I am so excited about our show because we've had a lot of guests on Puppet Time Online. We've had 20 guests. This is episode 21. Today is not only our first show with 2 guests at the same time, but it is 2 people that are nearest and dearest to my heart and responsible. They are the other 2 founders of the Puppet Kitchen. They are the parents of the Puppet Kitchen.
Are you going to say they're responsible for me?
I mean, that's not entirely untrue. I wouldn't be here without them. That is really the answer. And I love them both dearly. So I'm excited to have Emily DeCola and Michael Schupbach here on the show. Welcome, Emily and Michael.
Hi, Eric.
Michael, love our theme song.
It's catchy.
It's catchy, right? You might recognize it from Matt Singer and Liam Hurley's Big Littles concert tour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was wondering why I was flat.
It's got a Matt Singer.
It certainly does. Yeah. So I am so excited to have you all. This is like we're getting the band back together, you know? I want to know, let's just start off right away with questions that I already know the answer to. But the one that I like to start with every guest, which is, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into puppetry? Emily, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I was in college in Montreal and doing the beginning of a pre-med degree. Thought I was going to be a doctor, everybody's favorite child. And then I saw a really great puppet show, which was Tinka's New Dress by Ronnie Burkett, Theater of Marionettes, and with a friend of mine. And it was so good that we went and saw it, I think, 2 more times. I think we saw that one 3 times. The show was like such an exquisite, complete piece of art. Ronnie's writing and performance and manipulation and vocal work and design all sort of beautifully and seamlessly, worked together to create a piece that took me completely outside of myself and into the story. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to work with people. I want to think about ideas in a way that's active and tangible and concrete and highly emotional and sophisticated and complex in all of the ways that it communicates. So, I switched out of my pre-med program and started a very lucrative career.
Yes, certainly long lasting.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Michael, what's your origin story?
Well, I too was at school and studying a very the kind of career that a parent would be proud of. I was at Clown College, Ringling Clown College, and was having a good time. But I was spending more time like in the shop making stuff, or probably more time than I was on stage, and really liked this idea that you could, when you're making like a clown bit, like the prop has to be oversized and of the same world and context, but even that is applied to like an arena, and it feels like an odd fit. But with like puppets, you are making the context for everything in the show, and I really thought that was a beautiful way to sort of think about making something. And so that sort of lit a fuse under me, and I wound up studying that at Evergreen College under a puppetry program with a guy named Errol Goldberger, and then got an applied an intern at the Muppets, and then realized that that's really what I wanted to do, was to like draw something and then make it and then see it in a world of its own context. And so far so good.
That's awesome. So let's go back. I want to,
Whoa, Eric, have you done what was your? Hello,
well, Michael, you reviewed a Puppet Time Online episode 1.
Yeah, but I want you to tell it to me now.
We're all here.
You're right. We should recap. The way that I got into puppets was that when I was in middle school and high school, I was the kind of kid that wanted to do everything. I wanted to study everything. First thing I wanted to be was an inventor, and then I played the oboe in the orchestra, and then I got into theater and wanted to do all different kinds of things in the theater. And I liked drawing, and I liked building things, and I liked making things, and all of the things. And I never wanted to do just one thing. And then I saw Jurassic Park and got really into practical effects and giant robot dinosaurs and how they made these amazing things come to life. And I wanted to do that. And I decided that if I called myself a puppeteer, I could do everything that I liked doing and never give any of it up. And that helped me decide to go to Sarah Lawrence College, where I met Dan Herlin, who teaches puppetry there. And from there, I was sort of introduced to the entire puppetry scene in New York and all of the amazing people that make puppetry happen. And that was really the linchpin. That kind of sealed the deal, that the puppeteers, the community of people, is such a supportive and collaborative community that was definitely the place that I wanted to be. And, ironically, it wasn't that far after, it was almost immediately after I graduated that Emily, you and I met.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell?
What's the Puppet Kitchen origin story?
Well, that's what this is.
Oh,
Totally.
I skipped ahead.
Yeah, everyone's excited.
Very meta all of a sudden.
Yeah, hold on. I think my camera is slowly sliding. Do I?
Oh.
My cameraman here is a little on the tipsy side. Okay.
Sure.
You can see my setup here. It's mostly cardboard and tape, as you might expect.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Styles to which you've become accustomed.
So, Emily, you and I met in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about what that experience was like?
It was awesome, actually. I had moved back to the city. I grew up in New York and had moved back here from Canada, with big dreams of becoming a puppeteer, and had done a couple of gigs, which was awesome, and had somehow landed a wonderful studio in the basement of an old peep show parlor on 42nd Street.
That's right. That's right. The Bank of America building is there now.
Yeah, totally, which was incredible. I mean, it was under a peep show parlor, which had all of the juju and all of the special feelings and that you could imagine. And it also was a free studio through this arts organization called Schupbach. But that's another story. I just want to
I know, right? There's so many people and organizations that have supported us throughout the years. It's
incredible.
Yeah.
And just to think back on, you know, how all of those constellations of people and all their and all the good intentions and generosity and excitement about sharing ideas have been part of my experience, and then our experience as a company is like pretty incredible to think about. So I heard about a cool little puppet camp that was happening at Sarah Lawrence, the name of which, of course, I now cannot remember, but maybe you do.
I think it's called Puppet Central.
Sure.
Yeah.
I did that. And signed up. It was to work with Dan Hurlin in the Sarah Lawrence puppet headquarters. And Eric, you were the TA.
Right.
Which was super cool.
Right.
And we did all kinds of things during that week. I met a bunch of cool puppeteers from the city and from elsewhere, and to see I had not attended any kind of puppetry training per se. I was a very self-taught young beginner puppeteer. So it was my first exposure to like hearing how, really digging into how other people had been learning and teaching this art form. And so you were one of my first teachers, which was super rad. And while I was there, I got a phone call from a guy named Dave Travis, who was one of the two producer artistic directors of Synapse Productions, which was based in the city in the East Village. And he said, hey, we're going to be doing a production of Animal Farm. Would you like to design the puppetry? And I thought that sounded awesome. And like 27 life-sized livestock was going to be like maybe a pretty big job. And I wonder, I remember getting the phone call. I was standing outside. It was super hot. And I right away thought, I wonder if Eric would like to work on this with me. I can't think of anybody who I would like to collaborate more with right now, who I'm learning from. And I think he's inspiring me and I'm inspiring him, and we might make some beautiful music together. And so we did. We made like 1 million giant animals in that peep show parlor basement and on the roof.
Right.
Flipping things up and down in like a little bucket dumbwaiter.
Right, because you have to have good ventilation when you're using toxic glues.
Yep. So you do it on the roof.
Right.
Yep. Especially when you're 22.
Yes.
So, and that production of Animal Farm, which was wonderful and so much fun, became, after a couple of years, it was brought back around to go on a tour, at which point Michael and I had met, and through another project, and we had become studio mates in another Shoshama studio. Mm-hmm. And when Dave Travis called us back again and said, would you like to be involved in the national tour of Animal Farm, we said, yeah, but we don't have anywhere to build all those puppets this time.
Right.
Maybe one of you guys wants to pick up the story from there.
Well, yeah, it's funny. Michael, do you remember what you and Emily were working on when you guys met?
Let's see here. We had been set up by Scott Hitz to work on a long form Shel Silverstein poem that ultimately went nowhere, but we started sharing that studio space.
Yep.
Which is too bad. It was like a great poem and a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Was that? Yeah. Yeah. And then we lost the Shoshama space, so we went to the basement of a bar for a little while, and then there were bats.
There were bats.
Yeah.
And that's where Dave Travis kind of became our guardian angel and got us into that beautiful, beautiful space of the Puppet Kitchen.
Yeah, actually, we have a picture of the space as it looked when we moved in. There's that beautiful East Village location.
It was great. Look at that space. Oh, those tables, they were so big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right when we were cleaning off all of that kitchen grease.
I think we have a picture of that too.
Oh.
There, yeah.
Oh,
there's tiny version of me cleaning the ceilings. This space, do you guys remember what this space had been right before we moved in?
Yeah, the Lower East Side Girls Club had been baking cookies in there for like 1 million years.
Yeah, it's a real kitchen. It's
a
real, hence the name Puppet Kitchen. We're not actually that creative. I think that's kind of the only name that made sense.
But I remember thinking like this space is definitely better set up for our line of work than a peep show parlor.
That's true.
At least it had a spray booth.
I think we have a shot of Michael in that early spring.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that wonderful, horrible day.
That scum on the floor. Mhm.
Yeah, so we repurposed the hood there that used to pull air out of the over the stoves.
Yeah.
And we turned that into the place that we would do our toxic glues and spray paints and things that needed lots of ventilation. And it really just helped keep the area ventilated.
Yeah.
You know, I remember also thinking that, so maybe we'll get to this later. I want to do like a little word association and see like you guys can tell stories about, if that might be a fun way to tell stories about the Puppet Kitchen, because we've had now many years of experience. So that was the last one I was going to show, that photo. But so this is the beginning. So I wonder if you guys could tell me a little bit before we get into the projects that we've done. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about what you remember during the formation of the company, and like what you remember about that time, because we had been working in that studio space for a couple of years. We moved in there, I think, in 2006, and we didn't actually form the Puppet Kitchen as a company until 2008. So what do you remember about why we decided to do that, or like what the circumstances were around that? Do you remember? I mean, what do you
remember? But I felt like I'd just defer to Michael so you can get started.
Let's see here. We were getting a number of gigs and sort of wound up kind of hiring each other for those gigs to help out. And then I think it was Jin the Dragon was enough of a chunk of work that we we thought we should do it as a business as opposed to like a big old number on our personal taxes.
Yeah.
And
something we could share.
Yeah. And we did it through bizfilings.com. And I think that was the first time somebody's like, special interest story. Look at these plucky guys in a kitchen doing something weird. And we're on their website for a while.
Yeah, that's right. Certainly wasn't the last time someone had that feeling towards the Puppet Kitchen.
Yeah. And that was, that's when we that's when we incorporated. Is that right now? Yeah.
We have a photo of Jim
look at that
from way back in the day. This
That's our Abbey Road shot.
Yeah.
Avenue A.
Yeah.
And there were 7 instead of 4.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. I loved taking that puppet out into the neighborhood. We went to the store, saw our friends there.
It was a huge accomplishment. It was I'm really proud of that show.
That was the first impossible thing we did.
Also, not the last thing.
No. Rarely were the things possible.
Do you remember, Emily? Do you remember like what the decision was behind? Like, do you remember what you were feeling when I don't remember who first pitched the idea of like maybe we should incorporate, but like, do you remember what decision making process was in your head when that came up?
I think it was, guilty as charged. I think it was my idea to start a business together. Because I remember having for the 3rd or 4th time in a row, the thought, I keep hiring we're working together. We're in sort of parallel play mode in the studio where everybody is sort of doing their own things. We're sharing a lot of resources. We're teaching each other. We're hiring each other. We have in some ways really complementary talents. There are things that Eric can do that I can't do, things that Michael can do that I can't do, and vice versa around that triad. So, and then I thought, I don't know anything about starting a business, but maybe these guys do. Turns out, none of us did. And it was 2008 and in the middle of that financial collapse. So it goes to show that perhaps in some ways it's not always a good idea to go with that first gut impulse. I think over the course of the following many years, 11 years?
Yeah.
9 years? I don't even remember.
Well, we were in that studio for 9 years.
Yeah. So over the course of the following decade, I think we each separately and together, so sort of individually developed as business people and as artists and as folks practicing in our field in ways that were really enriching to each other. And I remember during that Jinjin project, having the first couple and the few thereafter, Imagination was the next sort of big project that we did together. And I remember in the trajectory from Jinjin into Imagination, feeling like, oh wow, we've started to figure out how to work together differently. And the Three Musketeers thing, no, it's not Three Musketeers. It's Heidegger's uncertainty principle. I don't know. The thing about the whole being more than the sum of its parts, whatever. I was like, oh shit, that's really real. The things we can accomplish as a team when we're actually focusing on working together, when that is one of the things that we're working on, is actually more than we could accomplish individually. And that was thrilling. Yeah. It's a really cool thing to experience.
Yeah. Do you feel like this is a photo of the three main characters from John Tartaglia's Imagination?
Also, character portraits of Eric, Michael, and Emily.
Why am I always the pink one? I don't understand. That's really kind of true. You know what? I never really.
You never realized that?
I mean, aren't all kind of portraits of their designers?
These three are like 100% the three.
I don't look anything like Dorsal.
That's really funny. That show was great. So Emily or Michael, Emily mentioned that we all have different characteristics or different qualities or like different strengths. Yeah. What do you feel like? What do you feel like those strengths were in the three of us that complemented each other? What do you think that it was that made us a good team?
I think just by virtue of like our sensibilities, we were able to kind of cover all the sort of greatest hits of puppetry and like what you sort of expect from that. There, in terms of our design styles, like Eric, you had a real gift for like the simplicity of caricature and a real engineering mind, which really made doing mechanisms and like thinking about something in sort of more of an abstract mathematical way possible. Emily, you always had like big, weird artistic designs at the ready. Like if you needed a strong, striking, unusual choice, that was something that you could always deliver something that nobody else was doing, and that just never ran out. And I think I had from the Muppets like sort of a cute furry aesthetic and like an ability to match IP. So if we needed to do something like Clifford the Big Red Dog or something where it was more about mimicry rather than like a big weird original idea, that was something that I could deliver. And between the three of them, and then when that gets applied to shadow puppets or marionettes or we wound up covering the things that people needed to see on stage.
Yeah. We have a picture of one of those projects that you mentioned covering existing IP or like existing characters and stuff, and that was the Very Hungry Caterpillar show, which I'm really excited about and which I'm really happy about. I feel like that's another sort of keystone project in the history of Puppet Kitchen that really changed the way we work because it was such a big project.
Yeah.
And that one had to cover, like, it had to look like the IP, but also we need to make big, bold fabric choices. And we needed to be thinking about how the holes in the fruit would open or how those wings were going to flap. And that was sort of all of us firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's that project was one of a number of big projects that we worked on. Oh, I love that donkey.
Yeah, that's the original donkey, the very first design we made for Australia.
Yeah.
That I felt like really brought the diversity of our studio to life, not just from the three of us. I think we've been talking so far about how the three founders have such a diversity of skills and talents, but we had an extremely strong team that by the time that we were working on The Very Hungry Caterpillar, I felt like was really had developed some skill in working together, and a way to, we had become accomplished enough and comfortable enough working together that we were able to really draw out the talent of all the folks who worked with us.
Yep. We also, we were blessed that there were a lot of people who were very talented and either up and coming and wanted to cut their teeth with us, or there were plenty of people who, quite frankly, were above our pay grade, but enjoyed working at the shop. And that was really nice to see, like, people who really, like Carrie Love would come in and teach us hours estimation in a way that we'd never thought about before. And then we'd see people like Ben Durocher or John Cody come up and just like blow everyone out of the water. And it was really kind of nice to be the signpost between the two.
Yeah, I think I was really excited by our apprenticeship program that we had going over the years. I went back and there was a rough list running, and I'm not sure when, I'm not sure how accurate it is. Just like most of our documents that we kept, it was like 90% good. But there was like almost 100 people that came through that workshop program, or came through that apprenticeship program, and that's a lot of people. That's not even counting the huge number of employees and contractors that we were able to work with over the years. And I think that was a huge. Like you said, that was being open to learning from them as much as we were trying to do stuff was I think maybe the only reason that we were able to last as long as that we, and built a company that could really last.
I think it became a real community of people who were also interested in teaching and learning. Sometimes both at the same time, often both at the same time. That was one of my favorite things about the work that we did, and that continues to bloom under your guidance, Puppet Kitchen International. But I think that that was one of the really unique, special qualities of the company that we started and worked with for so many years, was that it became a place where people could come and bring themselves and all they had to offer, have some fun, get to know people, contribute to a project, walk away having learned something. And that might be a casual volunteer who came to a barn raising, build volunteer pizza night party, or someone who came to our studio with tons of experience and as an independent contractor working with us on a particular aspect of a project. It was really cool. And those relationships have continued. Yeah.
What do you feel like? Do you feel like I feel like the community was a really big thing for the Puppet Kitchen, but do you feel like there are other things that distinguished the company from other puppetry studios or other arts companies that you really were proud to work on or proud to support and create, or maybe that you just noticed that like this is why the company is different?
Yeah, I remember, you mentioned that spray booth that we had, and I think that was sort of, especially at the beginning, we treated the place almost like a refugee camp that we'd been at other shops, and like there sometimes the experience was good, sometimes the experience was bad, but we did our best to make the experience at the kitchen good. Like we had a spray booth, we worked on we tried to work safe, like we wanted it to be a healthy experience for the people who work there. And I remember that was, if not a stated goal, an unstated goal amongst the three of us, and that's, I think, one of the things I'm proudest of.
I think the way that we worked hard and were successful as much as possible. So, in an imperfect world, definitely understanding that we were never perfectly successful at this or anything else. I think we worked hard to think about the people who we were working with. And whether that was considering safety or considering education or considering, professional development, contributions to a project. I think our studio really thought about people, and that was a distinguishing and an awesome characteristic of it. I also think we would balls out try anything. Puppet Kitchen was willing to work in all kinds of different aesthetics, try different techniques, figure it out, make it up.
Different price points.
You know, like we really were interested in the world of puppetry, whether we had it already in the company's sort of existing area of expertise, or whether it represented an opportunity for development.
Right.
I think that approach, while sometimes stressful and for everyone, including perhaps a client or two, I think it really brought a lot of opportunities for innovation and for developing ideas that were fresh and interesting and unexpected. So I loved that about our company.
Yeah, I always felt like there was a real sense that the company was kind of its own separate entity outside of the three of us. And I think that really helped in a lot of ways where we could, it helped us be a little more forgiving, I think, of our learning experiences, because we were really making it up as we were going along. I think just like most entrepreneurs, figuring out how to do what it is you're setting out to do, and figuring out what it is you're setting out to do, and when that changes, adapting. But I think, thinking about the company as a thing that can grow and develop, and that we are also forgiving of ourselves, and like we're all putting effort into it, and we're all trying new things, and we're all like willing to try new things, I think it is a big part of what kept the company really alive. And I was really always very proud of that. Do you feel like, well, what are some of the, I mean, speaking of the things that we would just try anything, what are some of the various projects throughout the years that you are most proud of?
Oh, there were so many.
There's so many.
There were so many. I was recently looking back at some photos of projects that we've done, and it really blew my mind to see the range of aesthetics, the range and scale, things that I loved. Okay, I'm sorry. I just okay. Over the sort of whole catalog, and the experience of looking back at that was really special. I loved Pictures at an Exhibition, was a really special one for me.
That's right. We have Harry here from Pictures at an Exhibition behind me.
And The Soldier's Tale.
Right there.
Those were two sort of later on, so very present in my mind still, projects that we did, developing pieces of music. In the case of The Soldier's Tale, it's a piece of music by Stravinsky based on a short story. And in the case of Pictures at an Exhibition, it's a piece of music inspired by the life experiences of the composer Mussorgsky. And we really got to work as a team on those projects. Each one of us was able to contribute substantially to them, and those were whole shows. It was very special to compose the story, create the design aesthetic, work on do the performance, do the direction, like as a piece. That felt like such a full expression of the way that we could all work together. It was pretty neat. I loved those too. Also, I like the arty stuff, so they were really great.
Yeah. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm sort of mentally going through the list. you know, like I don't know. There's when the Very Hungry Caterpillar show premiered and Eric Carl was there and he said like nice job. Like that's huge. Just
That's amazing.
Especially for a guy who is very protective of his work to like just sort of give us a thumbs up like you did it. Like that's benchmark kind of stuff. So
That was pretty cool.
Also, on the other hand, on a much smaller note, I was thinking about that Joan Benet Ramsey Memorial Beanie Baby that we made.
Yes. There's
Which,
a picture of that up on our website.
to be clear to the internet, was not our idea. But what I liked about it was somebody came in with this like wild idea of when they needed a specialty prop. They needed 3 of them. 2 of them were going to be gifts to the ladies, like, and that needs to be in a Beanie Baby style, but Joan Benet Ramsey, but matching Princess Di. And we were like, yeah, of course. We know Jane Penn is going to make it. We'll do a sketch. It'll take half an hour. Here are 3 options. And like, we just did it. And especially near the end, we got to the point where we were like ridiculous and proficient at it. Which was great.
Yeah, that's really cool. So just so you don't feel too bad about trying to find 1 or 2 projects, I was again looking back through our big lists. Do you want to play a little game and guess how many projects we did in that studio or in the 2 studios that we had? So between 2008 and 2017.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a rough guess as to how many projects I could count?
Now, are these completely
not including original productions, but is including things like Soldier's Tale that are whole shows?
Okay. And these are actually the ones that have left the door, not like things that we started an idea.
Yeah, doesn't include pitches that we did. Doesn't include we did a lot of spec work, obviously, for lots of people that were interested in things. And some of those projects were more involved than others. But this is like contracts signed, projects that we worked on, people that we worked with.
Yeah, I feel like hundreds. But
I'm gonna say at least 8.
1. Go with 1.
I knew you were gonna say that. I counted 250.
Holy shit.
Plus projects just
That's amazing.
in those 9 years.
That's amazing.
And another 30 since then, which is also crazy. But it really, like, we did so many things, and like just to count them is also not like it's impossible to know how many puppets that means.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hungry Caterpillar alone was like 40 puppets.
Yeah. Imagine Ocean as well. Like
the San Diego Zoo project, which was the other one that leaps to mind as like something that I'm tremendously proud of.
Yeah. Here we have a photo of that.
Yeah. It was a
giant lion that we made.
Yeah. Look how beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
I think everyone in that picture is incredulous.
We made it.
We did. There were 25 puppets in that 24 puppets in that project.
Yeah.
2 of which took 4 or 5 people to operate and were more than 10 feet long and really dominated.
Yeah.
That was such an exquisite project with design input from so many people.
I think, just to answer my own question, I feel like that show is the one that I am most proud of, that the Puppet Kitchen has ever done, because it was such an enormous operation. And I will also go on the record by saying that I was originally against it, which I think you both know, but I'm willing to admit
Totally against
it. The best mistake I ever made. So glad that I got voted out of that one.
Yeah.
But the reason I was against it from the beginning was because we looked at this project, this request for proposal that the zoo had sent out, and thought, there's no way that we can do this. They're asking for so many things. They're enormous puppets.
Mm-hmm.
We built like 1 or 2 enormous puppets, like Jin Jin and a big caterpillar, but what they're asking for is a 15-foot long lion.
Mm-hmm.
we'd have to get a new studio, we'd have to change the way we work, we'd have to change so much about our company, and we got the job, and we did have to change all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
We got a second studio, we like created departments and changed how we communicated with people, and had, you know, we had 2 studios running at the same time. It was just like a beautiful piece. Like, the puppets themselves are gorgeous. They're like nothing you will see in a zoo, and they're still being used today. Mm-hmm. And the puppets, that's a piece of art in it. Like, those are all pieces of art in themselves. But the thing that really gets me is the machinery that the shop had to become, that we had to make in the shop to support those pieces getting made, to support that art being made was incredible. Like, it was everything that I wanted. I felt like the Puppet Kitchen had been building towards throughout those 9 years, employing people. I think we had 12 people on staff for a year and a half, plus apprentices, plus workshops that we were doing at the same time, like so much, and really utilized all of our skills in a really wonderful way.
Yeah. Used and grew.
Yeah, used and grew, and it was like just such a great stretch project for us. And really, I think made us a better shop, showed us what that work can be like, which was really cool.
It was my last big project.
It was your last big project. Yeah, and things, you know, I think everything in the world started changing after mid 2016. But certainly, like, we were no exception. Like, the Puppet Kitchen changed again right after that, and you know, we moved out of that second studio because we were not doing as many big projects anymore. And you guys have gone on to you know, follow other goals in your life and pursue other things, and I think that's great. Which also kind of leads me to my last, like, prepared question that I have, which is, do you guys feel like you've learned at Puppet Kitchen, or in puppetry in general, that you've taken with you into your new ventures? And maybe you can talk a little bit about, you know, where you've gone since 2017 when you guys both took off.
Sure. I feel like I keep jumping on the answer, so I try to. Right. So I've learned so much over the course of my many years at the Puppet Kitchen, and working with the two of you and everybody else who were part of that incredible community, including, I think, one of the big takeaways for me is something that we've been talking a lot about, that willingness to try and bite off bigger pieces than seem imaginable, and work hard and fail and talk about it and deal with it and learn from it and continue to grow. That way of living and accepting, being invested in learning and other people learning along with me has been exceptionally important to me in my life and as in my work. So that's a takeaway from the Puppet Kitchen. From puppetry in general, I think the kind of full body listening and responding that puppetry performance requires, not just listening with my ears, but opening myself up as a performer or as a director or as a designer to responding to the world outside me, in the body of the puppet, in the bodies of my fellow performers, particularly if we're all working on one character together, and relaxing myself and my own ego and my own ambitions. That's hard. It's hard for me. I think it's hard for a lot of people. And I have really learned from puppetry. That has been a place where I've practiced that. These days, I left the Puppet Kitchen in 2017. and embarked upon a new career path. I am now in the summer 2020, in September of 2020, so 3 years later, a proud graduate of the Silberman School of Social Work. I'm a licensed master. I've passed.
Yes, master.
They all call me master. So I have pursued a new career in clinical social work, in therapy, and I'm interested as a therapist in practicing in myself and also working with my clients on those ways of listening that are not necessarily so immediate, sometimes verbal, sometimes not, sometimes language-based, and also have started to explore how puppetry and work that's nonverbal with objects in a clinical setting can open access to healing, particularly from trauma, in ways that words do not and cannot. So my master's thesis ended up being a love letter to puppetry, because I found myself in session inviting people to use objects as containers for themselves or containers for other people, and as ways to concretely and tangibly bring relationships into the room that are not possible in ways through language. And that has really enriched my clinical practice. And so what a gift from puppetry. And
that's awesome.
From the Puppet Kitchen as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Michael, what about you?
I think one of the benefits that we had at the Puppet Kitchen that all three of us started with and we maintained, and throughout the whole run of it, and I think it's one of the reasons why we were successful as a company and as a trio, was we all knew that we would get the job done. Like if we agreed to start it, we would finish it, even if it was uncomfortable or didn't pay well, or there was never a point where we would either like phone it in or not bring something new and engaging to the next idea. And that, I think, has not only gave us our longevity, but like it has just been a very powerful tool at the Puppet Kitchen and beyond. I think the thing that happened to us while we were working together that I now draw on the most is like we went through a period where we didn't know anything, to a period where we had some good ideas, to where we were the experts and leaders in the community. And those benchmarks were really hard to notice when they were happening. But like on the last day when we had that big speech and we realized this community and what we'd done, and that what happened to me was that I learned to trust my craft. And when I started, I didn't have any, and then it grew with you guys. And now when I'm working on a project, I know that even if I don't know what it's going to be, it's going to get done and it's going to happen well. And that's a nice thing to trust now when I didn't then. I don't think I trusted it until like when I left and I realized, oh wait, like I can figure this out. It's going to be this and it's going to be done on time. So that's been, I think, the crucible that the Puppet Kitchen provided.
That's cool. And where have you been working recently?
So
about your new job?
Yeah, I took a gig out here in Nashville, Tennessee. There's a company called Animax Designs that does puppets and animatronics for either theme parks or touring shows or sort of anything in between. And it was started as a puppet company and developed into a primarily an animatronics company. And now we're trying to get some more puppets into the scene. So we've actually had that really, not only a nice sort of renaissance with puppets at the company, they really also trust a very traditional approach. So even though we'll be working on like a very expensive robot, we'll start with a garbage mock-up and just like smash it together and make the joints move and then puppeteer it and see if that's what the client wants, and then build from there into a big expensive machine. And And when I got here, that was really, really intimidating until I realized that all the things that we did together, the breaking down of a design, showing the idea to a client and telling them that it's all going to be okay. Those are all skills that like we grafted together.
Yeah. That's cool. Emily, do you want to, I think you just got a new job as well, right? You want to talk about that?
I did. Yeah, I'm going to be joining, I am joining the clinical team at Atlas Psychotherapy. So if you can find us on the web at seekatlas.com. It's a wonderful group practice located in Manhattan, and we'll be doing teletherapy like everyone else for the foreseeable future. So find us on free near you.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you both. I'm really glad to hear that you are working, with the skills that you've learned, that we learned together, and taking them out into the world. Like, I just couldn't be prouder. I'm really, really excited. And, I was thinking about it, and I really feel like I carry a real responsibility to the thing that we've created together. And I'm really happy to be a co-founder of the Puppet Kitchen, and to be able to sort of be a steward of that idea, and that, that taking care of people and creating opportunities. And, I think about that a lot as I'm like continuing the company forward, to make sure that it's something that is a company that we can all still be proud of and be happy with the evolution of what we started. So with that, I want to wish you all a happy birthday. This is this week, I believe, is Puppet Kitchen's 12th birthday.
Getting up there.
Which is crazy. It's the big buzz. And I'll also use this time to encourage anyone who's watching, if you have questions for me or our guests, to put them in the comment section, or maybe it's down here, and Katie will catch them and then and chat about it. But I did want to get to our really quick lightning round of word association that I've come up with. Now, you've mentioned a couple of these words, so maybe they can be short stories, but I thought this might be a fun way to talk a little bit about the Puppet Kitchen in the past. So I'll say a word, and you tell a little summary of what the story is behind it. First word is animal farm.
Horse butts.
Great.
Creatures in the basement.
Love it. Connolly.
Home.
Yeah, home.
The Connolly Theater on East 4th Street.
Barn raising.
Pizza, beer, puppets, accidents.
Drunk doctors.
What was yours, Michael?
Drunk doctors. Do you remember the drunk doctors?
I was thinking about the drunk doctors.
What was the drunk doctors? Tell us a little bit about it.
We got listed on like a cool things to do guide in New York, like a print guide back like our ancestors used to use. And these group of Canadian doctors looked us up, saw on Facebook that we had a barn raising. And usually with the barn raising, we know somebody, like it's a friend of a friend. And it took us a good like hour or two to realize that we didn't know any of them. And that was just their touristy thing to do, was to come make some Eric Carl puppets. And
they were great. They worked hard.
They did great.
Yeah. I also found out that every doctor is 2 drinks away from showing you funny x-rays. So just a little HIPAA or whatever. They will, hey, what is these? Look at this.
All right, let's continue. Oasis of the Seas.
Oh, yeah. Biggest boat in the world.
Mm-hmm. Rihanna got on board and took my goddamn ticket.
She's always doing that to one of us. All right, elephants.
So there was the vanishing elephant.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I don't know what you're talking about. It's gone now. And then there was Elephant Gerald.
That's right.
Yeah.
And where was she?
Purple and pink elephant in San Diego Zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Next word, banana phone.
I sing it to my kid, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
That's one of the things that I really liked about working with you guys, was like, even if things got stressful, there was just an agreement that like If somebody started acting like a jackass, you had to join in.
It's pretty much true.
Yeah.
Next phrase, workers' comp.
Mm.
Did that. We did
Pass.
Yeah.
How British am I?
We got a postcard from them.
That's right.
Super Ego, right?
From Super Ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lydia.
Aw.
Lydia was our mascot.
Yeah. She's bulletproof, except for bullets.
And you're talking about the puppet. Do you remember who the puppet was named after?
Lydia Fine.
Intern.
Yeah, our very first intern.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
bad.
She hated that puppet.
She hated it.
And rightly so.
Bowling alley.
Oh, yeah.
Downstairs.
Lunch videos.
Oh, yeah. Hottie Kudarati.
Sean Tootle.
Yeah. Speaking of memories, do you remember that was Arlie's first day?
Yeah.
We were watching those pronunciation videos that are pronounced wrong, and we'd all seen them, and we thought it was hilarious. And so we were just saying nonsense words and laughing. And Arlie, finally, after like 5 of them, was like, "This conversation is very hard to follow."
Josh Luxembourg.
Ah,
Patron saint of the Connolly Theater.
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
We hired him to run the Connolly when we were put in charge of it. He was the point person on that, and he is now still the general manager of the Connolly Theater in the East Village, which is a great place to rent for theatrical needs. Okay, last word, fuzzy lumpkins.
I have no idea, but it's so familiar.
Do you remember, Michael?
Wasn't he on our? Didn't he make it into QuickBooks or one of our templates?
Yeah.
He did. Yes, fuzzy lumpkins was a test entry in our bookkeeping.
Yeah.
But fuzzy lumpkins was the top secret name for the San Diego Zoo project because we were on a NDA, couldn't talk about it for a year and a half.
And that's why we've forgotten what it was. So secret, even from ourselves.
Do you want to show that last picture, Katie? This is one of my favorite photos that I found digging through all of our archives. This is all of our parents in San Diego, and I think this is the first and only time that all of our parents have ever met and been together. That's
these dudes.
Yeah.
And my child, he's in that.
Right. in your belly.
That was 6 days before he was born.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like that picture. So with that, I want to wish you again, happy birthday, happy Puppet Kitchen anniversary. Yeah. Thank you both so much for everything that you've given me through Puppet Kitchen and just everything, and just for being friends and beautiful people. And I really adore everything that we've made together. And I'm so happy that you're part of my life. So thank you.
And if it hasn't been said, thank you for keeping the fires warm. Not only do I rest easy knowing that it's in good hands, I appreciate the extent to which you reach out and include us, and it's really enjoyable to see just the wonderful stuff that you're doing with the Puppet Kitchen.
It couldn't be
better. Well, I look forward to seeing you both soon in whatever your new endeavors might be, and hopefully, we'll call to catch up soon.
Yeah. Hey, wait. Do you have time just for a quick story? I know you're wrapping up.
No, we don't have a time limit on Instagram, but
I don't know if
let's go ahead.
I told you this or she's mentioned it to you directly, but right before, like on the day I drove to Nashville, I was at the Muppet Shop with Cheryl Henson, and like she came by and said hello and like heard that I was taking off, and then just said thank you. Like we pointed to the people who were at the Henson shop, and there was a handful of people who'd either worked with us or interned with us. And I'm paraphrasing, but she basically said, you guys offered something that we couldn't, that was in a different style. And she thanked us for being her competitors. And cool. I thought that's,
It kind of sums up the spirit of the puppetry community, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really love that.
So,
well, I really love you guys. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Well, that's it for this first episode of Puppet Time Online on YouTube Live. I want to give quick shout outs to a couple of people. Of course, Atlas Therapy that Emily is working with now. You can find them at seekatlas.com. I also want to give a shout out to Animax Designs, where Michael's working now. You can find them at animaxdesigns.com. I want to especially shout out the Connolly Center and the Connolly Theater, who basically made it possible for us to do what we do. They had an enormous hand in offering us support and love and guidance, and we really thank them for that. So don't forget to visit puppetkitchen.com. We have a new service now called Meeting Monster, where you can zoom in a puppet to your conference call, and you can order them at Meeting Monster or puppetkitchen.com/Meeting Monster. And did I forget anything, Katie?
Probably.
Thank you to Katie for running this and going a couple of minutes late, because I know she has meetings. She's very important and
I just told them I was running late with a very important conflict.
she's the best. With that, well, I hope to see you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for Puppet Time Online. Oh, we have a merch store now. Did I mention that?
Probably.
Yeah, we've got a merch store. If you want some of that sweet, sweet PK swag, you can pick it up at puppetkitchen.com.
.square.site.
Puppetkitchen.square.site. So we'll be back with another interview of an amazing person in the puppetry community and me next week, next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Until then, just remember, you don't have to do everything to do something. We'll see you next time.